Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the riddles inside Goblet of Fire, Chapter 33, The Death Eaters.
Oh, man. You know, I was chatting with Ethan, the editor, before popping down here to record today's episode. And it's really kind of fascinating because he was like, wait, so you're doing Death Eaters now? Like, I think when we go back to chapter 17 of Philosopher's Stone and you discover that Harry walks into like the final chamber to start the final chapter of the book. And then you go through all of that, the hospital wing, reuniting with, Ron and Hermione, the end of year feast, Slytherin wins, psych, Gryffindor wins, and then the train back to London. It starts and ends. Like all of that is included in the final chapter.
Yeah.
This is the polar opposite. I mean, we may have said the same thing back in Prisoner of Azkaban.
I think
as well.
that chapter happens in this chapter.
I mean, sort of, yeah. Like, because now we've got a situation where, like, the third task has ended. You've had Flesh, Blood, and Bone, which is sort of like Wormtail's portion of the conversation. Now we've sort of got the arrival of all of his supporters portion of the conversation, but this is still not even going to bring us to Priori Incantatem, which is going to be the next chapter. So it's
right.
Like we live inside of the graveyard here for 3 whole chapters. And then even after that, we go back to school for several more. So we're we're in the end game and yet somehow still just right in the thick of it.
I know. Like if this was Philosopher's Stone, this would be the beginning of the last chapter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But then chapter art, looking at this one for the Death Eaters, what we get pictured here is a bunch of tombstones that I would argue are way too close together.
I mean, yeah, who's burying these bodies 6 inches apart?
Right.
And they don't even look like not just like next to each other, like vertically as well. These are short people they're burying, I guess.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Yes. And then you can see all the cloaked figures kind of off in the distance, looking a little Dementor-ish.
Exactly what I said. Very Dementor-y, which is, I think, probably what they're going for.
Yes. I mean, we're even going to get the phrase in this chapter, the Dementors, they are our natural allies. So I think that there's no surprise that the Death Eaters are meant to look a little Dementor-ish, kind of in their nature. But yeah, my own little note here for the Death Eaters is just that we're just so in it now. We are in it. We're in the proper trenches. Like Harry's childhood is now in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, he is. This is it. Time to grow up.
We're playing big kid games from here on out.
We are playing big kid games. This is basically, Luke shows up at Cloud City and starts the lightsaber battle with Darth Vader.
Yes. Yeah.
Like we're there. The Empire is striking back.
It really is. It really is. This is the classic middle section of the series where the bad guys win.
Yeah, the bad guys win this round, no doubt.
Yeah. So anyway, you want to kick off with our opening line as per tradition?
Yeah. So this chapter kicks off. Voldemort looked away from Harry and began examining his own body, and then the dragons arrived. That'd be such a different thing. Like Voldemort's like, so good to have a body. Oh my God, dragons! They burnt me up. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
3 seconds that lasted, Wormtail. Right. You had one job.
He's like, no, I had multiple jobs.
I had multiple jobs and I just cut off my hand. Lord.
Can't even hold my wand with my proper wand hand.
I said do it 9 months ago.
Yeah. But then we let dragons get brought into the country. And now, you know what? Now they're here. And it's a real problem for especially the fact that it's definitely this like very Voldemort centric line. It makes it sound like the dragons are there to attack him.
Exactly. Yeah. Look out, dude.
Yeah. But anyway, unfortunately, the dragons don't arrive, and we get this description. His hands were like large pale spiders. His long white fingers caressed his own chest. Which, like
caressed. I literally highlighted it and wrote gross.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to think about that ever
I know.
again.
Yeah, please don't say that again.
Right. His arms, his face, the red eyes, whose pupils were slits like cats. Which it's like for how as snake-like as Voldemort is always described as being, we've now had a description comparing him to spiders and cats.
Spiders and cats.
Yeah.
Which, you know what though? Like, I think like some of it's interesting that it's described as like spiders and cats because spiders are something, one, he just was fighting in the maze. And like Aragog was like this huge obstacle back in Chamber of Secrets.
True.
Right. So like spiders have kind of been this like villainous force. And like in the very next book, the like cat-centric Umbridge is going to be a very like negative force.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So it's maybe that's like a little bit like, you know, the past and the forward kind of both being dangled in front of us there.
Right. And also I'm just going to draw attention to the red eyes gleamed still more brightly through the darkness. Like he has got, like the TV show has got to do the glowing red eyes.
Yeah, it definitely is something that I feel like, I mean, in the same way that Harry's eyes are so vital to his character, and we've talked about it a million times, but sort of that like constant mirroring effect that you get with like green and red as it pertains to Harry and Voldemort, where Harry has the green eyes but is in, you know, the red house of Gryffindor, whereas Voldemort has the red eyes but is in the green house of Slytherin.
Yeah.
And then like Avada Kedavra is famously green, whereas Expelliarmus is famously red.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah, they're always just sort of tit for tat with this stuff. The very yin and yang. You're going to see a huge example of the yin and yang in this chapter.
Yeah. I mean, that's something we just recently, you know, kind of made an entire video exploring, you know, more the symbolism of the yin and the yang between these two characters. But you really do have, you know, the white that is supposed to represent, you know, Harry with like the black piece inside.
Yeah, like the Voldemort soul.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, you've got the big, you know, the black half of it. That's going to be like the darkness, the dark magic of Voldemort with like the white piece, which is going to be Lily's sacrifice
that he just took into his body.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So lots of major symbolism type bits kind of happening and unfolding at all times whenever both of these characters are on page together.
Yeah. They're not in the same room very often. So this is like a real, you know, I don't think it's happened. I mean, I guess it happened in the Chamber of Secrets, but that was in Voldemort Prime.
Yeah.
So you haven't really seen them in the same place together since Sorcerer's Stone. It happens when Harry's attacked as a baby. It happens in the Mirror of Erised room.
Yep.
They're sort of together in the forest.
Sort of together in the forest,
yeah,
but they don't really like interact or have dialogue. And then you've got Chamber of Secrets where you've got like young Tom Riddle speaking to him,
sort of interacting with him there. And then you'll have obviously this big scene where he comes back and they have their whole duel and stuff. But after that, I don't think they're in the same room in Order of the Phoenix again.
Yep. We'll have the duel.
The duel, yeah,
where Dumbledore comes in.
And then do they cross paths in Half-Blood Prince at all? I don't think they do. He just sort of battles the basin in the cave.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, like the Death Eaters show up and they kill Dumbledore. But then in Deathly Hallows, they will meet in the Battle of the Seven Potters. They will meet in Godric's Hollow, and they will meet in the woods. Then they will meet at Hogwarts.
Right.
So
it really starts to ramp up.
Really ramps up in the final book. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But not a lot of time. And so as a result, it's like, while this isn't one of our longer chapters, it's almost like every word that you get inside of this, and especially if you can get, as we say sometimes, like into the mind of a first time reader of the story, like there are questions that are like burning inside of you, and we're about to get some like vital backstory.
Absolutely.
As to what's been going on.
Huge exposition dump by Voldemort in this chapter.
Yes, he starts monologuing.
Yeah, he really does. And what's he start doing? He's monologuing. He's got me.
Yes.
Got me tied to a gravestone. This joke, he gives me my wand back.
What was he thinking? Right. Oh,
the thing is, it wouldn't have mattered. If he just left him there and Avada Kedavra'd him, it would have immediately, like, he just would have come right back.
Well, and Harry would have gotten the piece of soul inside of him destroyed.
Yeah.
Right then and
right
there.
then and there.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get to all that in just a few minutes. But yeah. So this is Voldemort sort of having though like his first real experiences in 13 years where he has like flesh, blood, and bones. Basically, I mean, you know, not to hail back to the previous chapter too much, but that's exactly what's going on. He held up his hands and flexed his fingers. His expression wrapped in excellent. Exultant. Wow, that was a little embarrassing for me. Exultant. Good word there. He took not the slightest notice of Wormtail, who lay twitching and bleeding on the ground, nor of the great snake, which had slithered back into sight and was circling Harry again, hissing. Like Wormtail, it's easy to understand why he's not really paying any attention to, because Wormtail is genuinely just a pawn in his game.
Right. He really does not consider Wormtail like the man who just cut off his own hand to bring him back and has been nursing him to life for a year.
Right.
He does not consider like just at like a barely a blip on his radar of existence.
Right. So the question I want to ask you though is because I do have a curiosity about Nagini, who sort of seems to have like a very passive position in this chapter, but like it keeps bringing back like her position. It's going to be something that like that's brought up over and over again. So one of the curiosities that I had is that we've long been operated under the assumption that that Polyjuice potion was going to be used to send back like effectively like an imposter Harry as a way to like not immediately draw attention to his death.
Right.
Like, you know, because you don't want the world to know that you've returned. And if Harry Potter just goes missing and Cedric goes missing and they're just completely vacant, it's not going to take long before people start being like, you know, Voldemort, you know,
right.
like who else would it be?
Dumbledore's going to figure it out. Yeah.
Dumbledore's definitely going to figure it out. But so I'm curious, we know that Nagini has some unique powers and will eventually impersonate Bertha Jorkins.
Bathilda Bagshot.
But Bathilda Bagshot, like I was saying, I have Bertha Jorkins on the mind because of this chapter.
She's in this chapter, yeah.
Yes, Bathilda Bagshot. And so part of me is almost wondering if like Nagini is then able to like consume its victim, if that's part of like what can create the like anthropomorphication of
and like she could have like posed as Harry.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a really tricky one. I have no idea if that is how it would work. I mean, maybe.
Right? I mean, it's
but like as Bathilda, she's not like able to talk outside of parcel tongue, you know.
Which is something that like because Bathilda is so like elderly and onset in age, it kind of works out well because Harry understands everything she's saying and Hermione's just like, what?
Yeah.
You know, but it's not quite clear exactly what they're hearing in those opening moments. But so I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing. And it would also be a very deep irony because Nagini was formerly human and basically because of the malediction becomes a snake forever.
Right.
So the irony that then she may possess the ability to take the form of others as almost this like reverse animagus type situation. It's almost like that sucks. You know, like you can't turn back into yourself, but you can turn into
other ones,
into others.
Yeah. But like that's the example that when he sees Bathilda, like where it's like, what is it, like uncommonly dark magic or whatever?
Yes, true.
Yeah. And it always sounds like she like comes out of her skin or something.
You're right. It does sound like there's kind of
she's
like
like living inside the skin of her, like, which means it doesn't sound like she ate her.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, let's just keep an eye on Nagini as the chapter unfolds. Cause I you know, it's something that obviously doesn't come to pass, but it's a curiosity if, as if it was written where Voldemort had a specific intention and role for Nagini in this evening that doesn't come to pass.
Well, on this particular sentence where it's talking about how he's taking no notice of Wormtail or Nagini, like Voldemort will eventually, or Dumbledore will go on to say that Nagini is probably the closest thing, or the creature he cares about the most besides himself, even though he doesn't really actually care about anything.
Right.
And I think this sentence then is sort of like an example of that. Like here's Voldemort new in his body with two different creatures, Wormtail, who he is paying no attention to, which you expect. But then you've got Nagini, who you might think he would pay attention to, but even Nagini is far beneath his notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think that's a good observation to kind of basically be like, this is the thing he cares about the most, and even that he's not paying attention to.
Right, because the only thing he actually cares about is himself.
Right.
Right.
So then we get the line, Voldemort slipped one of those unnaturally long-fingered hands into a deep pocket and drew out a wand.
This is funny to me because it means like part of the planning process was like, Wormtail, slip the wand in put the wand in the robe pocket. So when you give me the robes, then it'll already be in there.
Right. Yeah.
We planned this ahead of time.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of theater involved. Yeah, because otherwise you just imagine like the wand is just like sitting on like a wooden shelf somewhere nearby where it's sort of like, where is it? Where is it?
Right.
You know, it's like no, we set this up in advance.
They had to have set this up in advance, which is the funny part, because they could have been like, give me the robes, then give me the wand.
Right. Yeah. Now, how do you want it to go?
Yeah. No. I want the wand in the pocket. Okay. I want to get my body back. I want to flourish, Wormtail. It's all showmanship.
It's going to be a big moment.
It's a big moment for me. Okay.
Right. One of the things I had a note here is that the recollection of Voldemort's wand is sort of like a topic of discussion as well. Because, I mean, as far as we're concerned, the last time he would have held his wand is in Godric's Hollow when the spell would have backfired and would have just basically been left in the wreckage.
Right. We know he used it to kill Frank Bryce too.
Yes,
and Bertha Jorkins.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, you're correct. But I mean, but he at some point in time would have had to have recovered it. And,
yes.
And we know he's going to explain that he doesn't have his wand while he's that like sort of ethereal mist like state that he's existing in while he's in the Forest of Albania.
Well, not in such a way that he can, like if he's in that state, he can't hold the wand, even if he had one. Right. But I think we can assume that it was left at Godric's Hollow. Absolutely, we can assume that.
Yeah. So who gets it?
Who gets it?
Yeah.
We made a whole video about this, and it's like it definitely is Wormtail who gets it and returns it to him, because otherwise, who else on Earth could it have been? But the question is, when did Wormtail get it, and where did he get it from? Because on the night of the attack, we know Wormtail knows it will happen that night, but once it goes wrong, Wormtail's not going to go investigate. Like, did he go that night?
It's a scary question to imagine a world where like Wormtail arrives in Godric's Hollow before Hagrid and Sirius get there.
Yeah, because that's otherwise what happens is that the attack happens and then Sirius shows up and then Hagrid shows up, and like I guess Wormtail as a rat could be there, but I don't think he does. Like they get there first. Like Wormtail's not gonna have the foresight to go collect the wand immediately. You know,
that's
he goes
true.
in to hide. He's running. He thinks Sirius is gonna come kill him.
Right.
Which is exactly what he tries to do. You know. So I don't think he goes and gets it that night. But then you have to wonder, like, who picks it up from Godric's Hollow? Does it just get left in the wreckage for 13 years and Wormtail collects it after he flees in Prisoner of Azkaban? Because that seems pretty unlikely too, because then Wormtail, because no one picked it up. No one picked up the murder weapon that backfired on Voldemort. Like, since then, you know, that's insane, because at that point, certainly, obviously, Sirius and Hagrid were there, but certainly Dumbledore, the Ministry, tons of people would have come to inspect the site.
I mean, anybody, because what happens is unprecedented. So at least even knowing what spell was used that didn't work is information they could have discovered using Priori Incantatem.
Right.
So it's like, it's bad investigation if they didn't go back and get it.
Yeah. That's really that doesn't make sense. So the way we think it happened is that is that it ends up with Dumbledore pretty quickly, either via Hagrid or by Dumbledore himself picking it up, because they're not going to leave it there. And then what we think happened is that Dumbledore gives the wand to Hagrid to safekeep at his house, because we know that Dumbledore trusts Hagrid.
Right.
And then it's just sort of hiding in plain sight. No one's going to think it's there. This is the sort of thing he trusts Hagrid to do. Plus, Tom Riddle is responsible for Hagrid not having his wand.
Right. So Hagrid being like the beholder is sort of like a little bit of
like poetic justice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the reason we think it's Hagrid specifically, other than those reasons, which also like help make it make sense, is that after Peter fakes his own death again at the hands of Crookshanks, he is hiding in Hagrid's cabin.
Right.
Where if you're Peter and you're just like roaming around as a rat in the cabin, you might then stumble across said wand and be like, oh my gosh. So when he flees from Sirius later that night, because we know the prophecy says that's when he's going to go to Voldemort, we think he detours, goes to the cabin, grabs the wand, then goes to Voldemort. And that's part of his like, I have your wand, please don't kill me for abandoning you.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really like the walkthrough that I think makes a lot of sense too, because that would be like even the fact that like what would fully motivate Peter on that night to like return to the Dark Lord is like the discovery of something that would allow him to be greeted with some measure of an open arm.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so there you go. So potentially the explanation as to how the wand was moved from place to place.
Yes. But what he does with that wand immediately, before he even attacks Harry, is directed at Wormtail and throw him against a headstone.
Yep.
It's just terrible. Like I don't often feel bad for Wormtail, but my goodness.
I know. It's like if you're a Wormtail, you have literally been through like the gauntlet of all gauntlets and have just cut off your own hand in the name of returning this particular person. Basically because you believe that this will provide you safety.
Right. And so far, no.
So far, not so much. Yeah. So he's just lying crumpled on the floor, crying. Voldemort turns his scarlet eyes upon Harry, laughing a high, cold, mirthless laugh.
There it is.
Yeah.
The mirthless laugh. And then Wormtail is like, you know, he's trying to hold him to it. He's like, you promised, my lord, you did promise. And Voldemort is taunting him with this. He says, hold out your arm. The word lazily is used a lot in this chapter.
Yes.
By Voldemort. It's just like, he's like, I am back. Oh my gosh, am I back? And I am just like, not everything is now beneath my notice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I mean, and it's like it feels like any movie character who like would have been kind of somebody who is like super down on their luck, but maybe because it was like their own fault that they were down on their luck, and then they like leverage someone who's able to help them, and then the moment that they've got like ground to stand on, they basically don't care about that person anymore at all. And now, so I mean, it's like the definition of like a toxic person.
Oh, Voldemort?
Yes.
You don't say.
Guys, breaking news. Voldemort, toxic.
Toxic.
He has red flags.
He has red flags.
Yeah. And
they're literally in his eyes. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's brave of Wormtail to basically just immediately be like, yeah, you promised to help me.
Mm-hmm. See, Gryffindor people. Imagine the courage it takes to say that.
I literally have brave of him. Yeah. But then of course Voldemort is just trolling him, and he's like, the other arm, Wormtail. And that's when we get the piece of information that the Dark Mark, when it is not being used for summon purposes, is vivid red.
Yes.
This is I can remember an episode of Jay versus Ben where the question was asked, like, what color is the Dark Mark? And I wrote black, because we have now seen it so depicted as black.
Yeah.
And anybody who's got this like tattooed, which we've seen people, in real life who have it and everything, it's always black, but it's red before it's
pressed.
Before it's pressed. So something like a vivid red tattoo, a skull with a snake protruding from its mouth, the image that appeared in the sky at the Quidditch World Cup, the Dark Mark.
It's possible it's not even a tattoo, that it could be like a brand.
Yeah, that's true.
Because then that would make sense that it's red. And then like the touching of it is like in it turning black is just like part of the magic of it.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. See that.
But then it also sounds like it's been kind of invisible for the last, like that's what Karkaroff's freaking out. It's like, it's coming back. Look.
Right. And this is the thing though, that really I think Harry is going to be the first non-Death Eater to be exposed to one of these, because it doesn't sound like the greater wizarding world knows what dark marks are.
It doesn't. Oh, you'd think Dumbledore would, because certainly Snape would have told him.
It does seem like the kind of thing Snape would have said or brought up sometime in the past.
Well, actually, we know he does, because Harry sees Snape in the pensive saying, it's coming back, Karkaroff's too.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're
so
right.
Dumbledore definitely knows about the dark
So
mark.
Dumbledore does, but Sirius didn't.
Right.
At least when they were talking in the cave, which is also just surprising as like a key member of the Order of the Phoenix, but whatever.
Yeah.
So Voldemort presses his long white forefinger to the brand on Wormtail's arm, and this causes Harry's scar to just go like crazy pain.
Bad news.
Yes. Yep. And then when he opens his eyes again, he sees that the dark mark has turned jet black, and there's the look of cruel satisfaction on Voldemort's face. And basically, it's funny too. What he's going to say next is, how many will be brave enough to return when they feel it? Which it's like he's placing stock in such like a Gryffindor, you know, like attribute,
right?
Which like sounds surprising to me. Like I like circled that and underlined it because I was sort of like, oh, look at him valuing bravery. But it's also not unlike, like, he uses other house relics for his Horcruxes. Like, I think that he would probably have admiration for all 4 of the founders of Hogwarts in a rather unique way.
I think he would too. And I think it's interesting. You're right. But I also think this represents like a certain misunderstanding in his own brain.
Sure.
Where he's saying, who will be brave enough? And the answer isn't who's brave enough. It's how many are like, who's scared enough. Like, I think it's more fear-based that they all return out of.
I think you're exactly right. Like, the real bravery would be the people who don't show up.
Right. You don't have Snape show up, or who isn't too afraid to stay away.
Right.
Like Harkroff, basically.
Because everybody's going to show up basically out of fear, and that's really what's been driving Wormtail this whole time as well. And how many will be foolish to stay away? Yes. Yeah. We'll get a good breakdown of that later too.
Yeah. What's funny is that it's like in the movie he presses it and like basically immediately they start showing up.
Right.
Whereas here, like, it takes a few minutes. So to me, what that means is they're like, oh my gosh, hold on, honey, where's my cloak? Where's my mask? And they're like, why do you need it? The greater evil is calling. I am your wife. So they're like rushing around like, where'd I put it? Hold on, let me get my robes. Where do I go? That to me is what's happening for these 3 minutes where they're like getting ready to come.
My evening's in danger. It's like everybody's in danger.
Everybody's evening's in danger, woman.
Yeah, he's back. Oh man, people who haven't seen The Incredibles are like, what are they on about?
What are you saying?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen The Incredibles, there's no way you're watching this show.
That's true. Let's see here. He began to pace up and down before Harry and Wormtail, eyes sweeping the graveyard all the while. After a minute or so, he looked down at Harry again, a cruel smile twisting his snake-like face. Go ahead.
You stand, Harry Potter, upon the remains of my late father. A muggle and a fool, very like your dear mother. Which, it's interesting that he phrases it that way because Harry's mom is not a muggle.
Also true. Yeah.
But this also is representative then of how Voldemort views Muggle-borns as effectively non-magical.
I mean, and that's really what's going to happen. Like when we get up to the I always forget the name of it, like the Muggle Registration Commission or whatever. You know, like in Deathly Hallows, where everybody's having to prove their magical heritage, and if you can't, then it's just basically like, well, if you're like a Muggle-born, then you are a Muggle, and who did you steal your wand from?
Exactly.
Because that is the only way in which you would have it, because no non-magical person should possess one.
Yep.
Let's see here. But yeah, so then we get a little bit of information. Your mother died to defend you as a child, and I killed my father. And see how useful he has proved himself in death. Yeah. He literally, it's like you've got a Wormtail hand and a Tom Riddle Sr. femur, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, pretty
so
gross.
Like
and then hairy blood.
Yeah. When you say it like that, it sounds like blood with hair in it.
But that's I'm going to let it sit with you. You know, snakes have hair blood.
Enjoy
that image. Then we get confirmation that the house up on the hillside is in fact the Riddle house where his father and grandparents lived.
Yep. And then we discover that it's Tom Riddle's mother, who was a witch, who lived in the village, fell in love with Tom Riddle Sr., which I guess is, I think it's a little bit of a stretch.
Infatuated.
It's even surprising that he would use the words in love, because it is an infatuation, I think is what it really comes down to.
Yeah, and you're getting like Voldemort's interpretation of everything. And of course, we're going to get way more backstory on all of these sentences in Half-Blood Prince. But so he says, but he abandoned her when she told him what she was. He didn't like magic, my father. To which I just little asterisks like, well, she did like rape him and enchant him. So I mean, I don't think I'd like magic either.
he had a bad experience. With his run in. But I mean, obviously, like we also know that Tom Riddle Sr. sort of had like what is otherwise like a very like it's interesting because Tom Riddle Sr. had prejudice. He just had prejudice against like he had like the superiority thing.
Yeah.
Which, ends up being passed down to Tom Riddle, his son, or Voldemort. Like they're both very like uppity in terms of like position in society and who to look down upon and those types of things. So it's interesting that he's so like, oh, my father was the worst. And it's sort of like, yeah, but you're kind of like him, just the magic version of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But then you also get the information that that his mom abandoned him or died giving birth to him, so he knows that, leaving him to be raised in a Muggle orphanage. But I vowed to refine him. I revenged myself upon him, that fool who gave me his name, Tom Riddle, which is also also inaccurate because his dad didn't give him his name. His mom gave him the name from his father.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. It was like her last request right before she died. Yep. And then he said, listen to me, reliving family history. He said quietly, why? I am growing quite sentimental.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But then he says, but look, Harry, my true family returns. And it's like, even that, it's sort of like, he has such a gross misinterpretation of family. It's like,
I know.
These people are terrified that you will murder their families. And that is why they're there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. My true family returns. Yeah. Well, you don't treat your true family much better than your blood family. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. But then the air is suddenly full of swishing cloaks, and everybody starts to arrive. And in what I can only imagine is like a known pre-configured formation, because they arrive in a circle and there are like gaps in the circle, and he seems to know each of the people who should be standing where. Yeah.
Well, it says, and one by one they move forward. Okay. Yeah. And they're by the yew tree. So we get mention of the yew tree again, which is also the wood of Voldemort's wand.
Yep.
The one he's presently using. They're all hooded and masked, which I don't feel like enough attention gets put on the masks because the masks are scary.
Yeah, the masks are definitely scary, and it really is that way to conceal identity, even though it doesn't really matter because he's just going to name names.
I know, which is also like poor continuity between what Karkaroff said in the Pensive, which maybe he was just lying to save his own skin.
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Yeah. But Karkaroff says that we never knew the names of all of our people, but it's like Voldemort's just going to name drop everyone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But then you get another kind of like weird custom that doesn't really seem like it holds on very much, but it's this idea of I mean, like you'll see it in movies or anything where it's like kiss the ring or like it's a submission to power type of situation.
Right.
But several of the Death Eaters are going to basically drop to their knees, crawl towards Voldemort, and kiss the hem of his black robes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like an unusual thing that I think they all end up doing.
Yeah. I think they all do that. I'm not sure if that's like a just, someone started and they all followed suit, or it's like this was something they did all the time, or if it's just like a true miracle to them.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's kind of like, whoa, you're back. No way. Let's see here. There was gaps in the circle as though waiting for more people. Voldemort, however, did not seem to expect more. He looked around the hooded faces, and as though there was no wind, a rustling seemed to run around the circle as it shivered.
Yep.
As though it had shivered. And yeah, so I think that's definitely speaking to the fear that is living inside of all of the people who have just showed up. They're all like nervously shifting weight.
Yeah, they're not arriving out of bravery.
Yes.
They're arriving out of fear that if they don't show up, he'll kill them, which he will.
Right.
So then he greets them all, just, welcome, Death Eaters. 13 years since we last met. Yet you answer my call as though it were yesterday. We are still united under the dark mark then. Or are we?
Yeah, that was very good, Voldemort.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Love that. Yeah. And it definitely seems like he is he is on to what happened in the wake of his
not happy.
Yeah, in the wake of his downfall. I see you all whole and healthy with your powers intact, such prompt appearances, and I ask myself, why did this band of wizards never come to the aid of their master, to whom they swore eternal loyalty?
I know. Right to business.
Yes, yeah. It's like, oh man, he brought up the thing I was worried he was going to bring up.
Like, maybe he will bring it up. Oh crap!
He brought it up right away.
Just immediately, they believe. Yeah, and then I feel like he's like, yeah. And I answer myself, they must have believed me broken. They thought I was gone. To which I'm like, you were.
Yeah, you were. I mean,
You were gone.
You just admitted it's been 13 years.
Yeah.
You know? But again, you know, for someone whose goal is immortality, I think 13 years is really like, it doesn't like really bother him that much.
Well, his logic here is so backwards too, because, you know, they slipped back among my enemies and pleaded innocence and ignorance and bewitchment. And it's like, yeah. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be here now. Right.
Yeah. You know, it just
like,
sort of be like,
you're so happy with the Lestranges, but like they're what?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then I asked myself, how could they have believed I would not rise again? They who knew the steps I took long ago to guard myself against mortal death. And it's like,
do they know?
That was exactly what I wrote. I was like, it's like he doesn't tell his Death Eaters about the Horcruxes. Like even Bellatrix and Lucius, both of whom have guarded them, don't know what they have.
Right.
It's just something that apparently is of deep value to him.
Right.
Because I think even Dumbledore says at one point in time that, like, you know, poor Lucius, like if he had only known how carelessly he had handled that piece of magic.
Yeah, I'm sure he never would have, like unleashed it. Had he known it contained a piece of his master's soul, he never would have been so careless with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep. And then this is interesting too, that he says, and I answer myself again, perhaps they believed a still greater power could exist, one that could vanquish even Lord Voldemort. Perhaps now they pay allegiance to another. Perhaps that champion of commoners, of mudbloods and muggles, Albus Dumbledore, which is interesting, is like nobody did that at all. Like,
yes.
He is so obsessed. He is obsessed with Dumbledore the way that Draco is obsessed with Harry.
It's true.
He's just like, dude, no one is even talking about Dumbledore. What do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean?
It's like they're like the Death Eaters like whispering to each other. Like, why is he bringing up Dumbledore?
I know. Just, I mean, especially because the obvious greater power would be Harry, who actually defeated him.
And I know, like, even as I was going through this, I'm like, okay, here's the setup for why he's going to give Harry his wand back, because we even know from like back reading on I think like the Malfoy family, maybe on Pottermore, you get like a bit of information that like Lucius and many of the former Death Eaters believed that Harry could be like the second coming of the Dark Lord. Like Draco is instructed to befriend him,
right,
in the hopes that this could be like the new Voldemort, the
new rallying point. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so it's like if anything, it really seems like that would be the main thing, and then Voldemort's defeating Harry is going to be like, see, I am the all powerful. You thought maybe it was him, but no, like. And obviously that's not what ends up happening anyway.
Yeah.
But that's sort of how I felt like that should have gone. But then it brings up Albus Dumbledore.
Yeah. Let's see. Then Voldemort gives them the old I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Just treating them like children.
That's worse.
It's worse. Oh, it's worse.
Yeah. So then one of the men suddenly flung himself forward, breaking the circle, which was going to be Avery, and he's basically asking for forgiveness for himself and for everybody else. And Voldemort responds immediately with Crucio.
Yeah. Harry, in the meantime, is over there just saying, let the police come. He thought desperately, let anything come. To which I was just like, boy, I bet that'd be messy. Like if the police show up, that's not going to help anything.
Oh no, they're definitely going to die.
They're super dead.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That's not going to help anything. That he's just hoping for any kind of escape, which eventually he'll get some help, but not quite yet.
Right.
So Voldemort raises his wand. The tortured Death Eater lay flat. Get up, Avery. Stand up. You ask for forgiveness. I do not forgive. I do not forget. Hence your downfall immediately right there.
Yep.
So he says 13 years long payment. He says he wants repayment for the 13 years they didn't serve him, to which to me, I'm like, but like, had you just been alive, they would have been doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
right?
It's also like they swore like lifelong oaths. So it's like, what happens at the end of the 13 years? Like your like term is up, and it's sort of like, all right, guys, I served my 13, so I'm out now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now Voldemort forgave me. It's not how forgiveness works, by the way.
Is it Majorca? Is that where the Dursleys wanted to buy?
Yeah. I'm heading to Majorca.
I'm heading to Majorca.
Yeah. So in any case, he says Wormtail's paid some of his debt. So if you're keeping track of it, though, Wormtail would have only already had 12 years to go, and he's been in his service again for 1, so he only has 11 more years of service left to go.
Look at him go.
There you go.
Yes. But then immediately as well, he looks down at Wormtail, who's continuing to sob on the floor. He says, "You return to me not out of loyalty, but out of fear of your old friends." And it's sort of like, I mean, everyone present.
Yes.
Is pretty much there out of fear.
Right.
You deserve this pain, Wormtail. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I mean, he's just asking questions where it's like they only really have one answer.
It's just like why did they follow him at all?
I have no idea. Yeah.
It's so bad. It's like he's saying, I don't forgive. I want 13 years of repayment before I forgive you. It's like what he's describing isn't forgiveness, it's debt.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
Yep. So worthless and traitorous as you are, you helped me, and Lord Voldemort rewards.
I can't believe he calls him worthless and traitorous. His treachery was against his friends for you.
I know. Yes, it's like, what did Wormtail do wrong in this situation? Like, if anything, he was kind of cunning.
He's like, it's so, I mean, it's like, of course it's mean, it's Voldemort, but it's like, he's mocking him for being treacherous when, like, for being a treacherous person, even though the treachery benefited Voldemort.
Exactly.
He's like, you're a worthless person, you traitor. It's like, but I help you with my treachery.
Right.
Not against you.
But then we get the Voldemort raised his wand again and whirled it through the air. A streak of what looked like molten silver hung shining in the wand's wake, and this is going to be Wormtail's new hand. The description of this always kind of like blows my mind. But it says it attached seamlessly to his arm as though he were wearing a dazzling glove. He flexed his shining fingers, then trembling picked up a small twig on the ground and crushed it into powder.
Yeah, which I have to say is about the coolest thing he ever does with it.
It really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
The fact that he has this cool silver hand makes no difference to the rest of the story, except that it kills him.
Right.
But like in the meantime, it does not advance his evil capabilities at all.
No, and this is one that we had a lot of fun with when we did our like what if Harry was in Slytherin concept. Basically, that like this is because silver would be one of Slytherin's colors, and because we at least have the single precedent in this situation where rewards by Voldemort kind of come in the form of these like silver adornments. We basically ended up creating like a silver army.
Yeah. The idea was that like everyone who disappointed Voldemort, we were having Draco would like end up torturing them, but not with Crucio, with Sectum Sempra.
Right.
And like it's similar to Wormtail. Like they had to like pay a cost, which was like the damage of the curse, but then he could repair them with the silver.
Right.
But then in doing so, of course, he's like ensuring their loyalty, but he's not telling them about that part of it. So then eventually, I don't want to like spoil the ending or anything, but you know how the silver works.
You know how the silver works, yes. And it's really like the next line we come to is what sounds like a sentiment being breathed by Voldemort, but it may even be like a spell or a piece of magic. It says, "May your loyalty never waver again, Wormtail." And it's like we know that it will waver again. And
I know.
It's like it's because it wavers that this particular piece of magic goes against it.
I know. I literally wrote the same thing. I said, "Is this a spell?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like it doesn't really look like a spell, but it doesn't mean that it's not.
Yeah. The other significance I always think of the fact that Wormtail's hand is silver is that it's not the only time Voldemort is associated with silver. Like he'll summon a silver shield when he's fighting Dumbledore.
Yes, he will.
Later on in the Ministry of Magic. And of course, Slytherin's colors are green and silver. So he has a bunch of associations with the color silver. Even the unicorn blood he drinks is silver.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of that. And I think Voldemort is so heavily associated with silver because Harry is so associated with gold, and gold is of course just better than silver.
It's better, yeah. So I mean, we see that with Harry. It's like when you put like his hair into the Apologies potion, it turns gold. He chases the golden snitch. There's like the golden flames that come out of his wand. Like gold is something that like kind of comes back to Harry, and I mean, Gryffindor obviously is red and scarlet and gold. So that is like one. So they're definitely like kind of mirrors of each other. I was going to say two sides of the same coin, but maybe different sides of different coins.
Yeah, right. One's a galleon, one's a sickle here. All right.
That's right. Even the fact that it's called a sickle, is like a sickle is often like associated with like a way
like
of
a blade.
A blade.
Yeah.
It even seems very fitting.
Right. It does. It does. So anyway, then there's this lovely trivia line, which is what is the first thing he says to Lucius, which is, Lucius, my slippery friend.
Yeah.
Slippery.
So all that hair care products.
How would you describe that guy? Kind of slippery.
kind of slippery. It's like you try to shake his hand.
Just kind of like, ugh.
It just zips right out of there.
Zips right out, you know what I mean? Can't get a good grasp, you know?
Right. But Lucius, I guess, has maintained enough of a reputation, which I mean we've seen, but it says, I am told that you have not renounced the old ways, though to the world you present a respectable face. You are ready to take the lead in a spot of Muggle torture, I believe. Yet you never tried to find me, Lucius. Your exploits at the Quidditch World Cup were fun, I dare say, but might not your energies have been better directed towards finding and aiding your master?
Indeed. Right to it again.
And this is kind of interesting because I forget this because Lucius will ultimately become such a punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
Like he falls from grace hard.
He does.
But like at this point in time, basically what we, the audience, are being confirmed, really, truly, properly is like, it's not just Harry's prejudice against Draco or Slytherins or anything like that. Like they are dark wizards.
Right.
Hard stop.
Yep.
They are there. Although notably not Narcissa.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, not a Death Eater.
Not a Death Eater.
Yep.
Yep.
And then just Lucius, of course, responds with some complete baloney here. He says, my lord, I was constantly on the alert. Had there been any sign from you, any whisper of your whereabouts, I would have been at your side immediately. Nothing could have prevented me. This is complete crap because there are plenty of rumors about his whereabouts. Voldemort is going to literally drop it later in this chapter where he says, he came to the forest where it had long been rumored I was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
and it's like there are absolutely rumors about where he was, and they're accurate rumors.
I mean, Voldemort's just going to catch him in the lie right away. He's going to say, and yet you ran away from my mark when a faithful Death Eater sent it in the sky last summer.
Yeah.
Said Voldemort lazily.
Yeah.
It's
slices right through the argument.
Right. And I think what we're supposed to be getting now is like the sheer cunning of Voldemort. Like as silver-tongued as, no pun intended.
Silver-tongued.
Yeah, as Lucius may be, I feel like this is one where it's like he can't pull one over on Voldemort at all.
No.
Like he's got much quicker wit.
Yeah.
Yes, I know all about that, Lucius. You have disappointed me. I expect more faithful service in the future.
Yes, of course, my lord, of course. You are merciful. Thank you. Which I circled merciful. I was like,
It's like,
well, that's quite a word.
You're a little fast and loose, or dare say slippery with that one.
No doubt.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So then we continue to go around the space, and Voldemort points to the space where the Lestranges should be, which of course is Bellatrix and Rodolphus. Notably, Rodolphus is the one where the Lestrange name comes from. Bellatrix would be formerly of the Black family, but they are entombed in Azkaban. They were faithful. They went to Azkaban rather than renounce me. And this actually hails directly back to what Bellatrix says in the trial, in the pensive, where she's basically like, we will be rewarded.
Yeah.
And it's like, she is right.
Well, I guess, I mean, Voldemort does say when Azkaban is broken open, the Lestranges will be honored beyond their dreams, but how?
They get to store the cup.
I guess that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's when he lets them store the cup. But then where's the cup now?
So that's a good question. Where was the cup before it was?
Yeah. I could see that maybe that could be what he let them do, is store the cup.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, after all, like, the task that many of the followers would give their right hand for is literally giving your right hand.
Yeah.
As far as Wormtail is concerned.
Right.
So it's like, I think as far as Voldemort's reward system is concerned, it's kind of weak gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. A diary that will get you in trouble and get you kicked off the board of directors at the school.
Yep.
A cup that will get your vault broken into. A hand that will kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
You get to assume some of my risk. Is basically what he has going on there.
But then he just says the Dementors will join us. We will recall the banished giants. I will have an army of creatures whom all fear. So Dumbledore knows his plans immediately. The other creatures he's talking about are werewolves. Which the Dumbledore immediately will suggest to Fudge that they get the Dementors out of Azkaban, that they send envoys to the Giants, and he immediately recruits Lupin to start trying to get werewolves on their side.
Exactly.
And so those are who he's talking about there.
Yes. I mean, and that's kind of amazing too, because I mean, just talking about how much smarter Voldemort is then Lucius, it's like within seconds of discovering Voldemort's return, Dumbledore's like, I know his playbook. I know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
This, and this.
This. It makes you wonder, like, I guess Dumbledore kept hoping maybe it just wouldn't happen. He wouldn't come back. Maybe they could keep preventing it. But it's like, why weren't you doing this in the meantime?
That's a fair
or maybe
question.
maybe that would have been made two in the face of the Ministry or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But then he addresses McNair, who, if you'll recall, was supposed to be the executioner of Buckbeak.
But instead was the executioner of a pumpkin.
A pumpkin, yeah.
Yeah.
So it says, McNair, destroying dangerous beasts for the Ministry of Magic now, Wormtail tells me. You shall have better victims than that soon, McNair. Lord Voldemort will provide. Which, to me, is like, he's like, you're destroying, he's thanking, like, he's like almost congratulating him for destroying dangerous beasts. Like one sentence after he said, I will have an army of creatures whom all fear.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I had this exact same piece of pause where I was sort of like, who you talking about nifflers?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about cool stuff,
Right.
bow truckles,
Mhm.
you know, because I have a feeling that you're probably not destroying a rumpants and I don't know, Zowoos and
Right.
you know, like you want those, I think.
Ben, those haven't been invented yet.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So McNair says, thank you, master. And then we have Crabbe and Goyle speak up, which is hilarious because they said, he says, you will do better next time. Will you not, Crabbe, and you, Goyle? And they respond, yes, master, we will, master. Which is actually hilariously more dialogue than any of their sons have had in the whole series.
Thus far.
Yes.
Yeah, it is absolutely bonkers that we are 4 books into the series. Crabbe and Goyle have been there from the beginning,
Yep.
and they have never had speaking
Never had
lines.
speaking lines.
And-
These 5 words from Mr. Crabbe and Mr. Goyle are the most any of their family has had.
Yep. Then we also learn about Not. N-O-T-T, as you walk past the stoop figure in Mr. Goyle's shadow. My lord, I prostrate myself before you. I am your most faithful. That will do.
Says he's his most faithful. It's like, are you?
Voldemort's like, yeah, I don't think you are.
Like, I just said the Lestranges are the most faithful. Were you listening? Not. I guess not.
Oh! Did you hear
Lucius, did you hear that?
My mind went the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Nudge, nudge. It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Pretty good.
Oh, man.
Everyone laugh now.
Let's see here. And here we have 6 missing Death Eaters, 3 dead in my service. Can we name the 3? Or are those people that...
Maybe. Let's see. Can we name who the 3 dead Death Eaters are?
Karkaroff names several of them.
Right.
In the pensive. Hang on a second. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm. But y'all, we need to take a brief pause to give a heartfelt thank you to today's sponsor, Pair Eyewear. So at this point, I'd like to think that you at home know us fairly well. It almost goes without saying, but Jay and I are pretty big on looking for the easily overlooked details, Easter eggs, plot holes, or as we like to call them, theory fuel. But looking extra close is exactly what Pair Eyewear is all about. And not simply because they make glasses, but because of how they do glasses. I'm wearing them right now, my signature clear frames, and all on their lonesome, they're gorgeous. Locked in with blue blocker technology with anti-glare finish as to not reflect all the gigantic lights that are currently pointed at me right now. But like our favorite stories, the beauty is in the details. Pair allows you to customize your look as often as you like with their magnetic toppers. Check this out. Marauder's map, just like this. Ready? 3, 2, boom! Got it. Then, look at this. Literally no effort whatsoever. Mickey Mouse. And finally, without fail, Star Wars. It's just this like really fun signature like magnetic snap that happens when you clip them on as well. So it doesn't matter what new film is dropping at the theaters or which theme park I'm in, I'm ready. And with Pair, they've got their digital try-on. So if you're not sure which frames will look best on your face, you can easily cycle through their whole collection. Though if you want to be just like me, I'm currently rocking the Twains. So spot the Easter eggs, wear the Easter eggs. Go to paireyewear.com and use code Griffin for 15% off your first pair and support the show by mentioning that Through the Gryffindor sent you in their post-checkout survey. That's Pair, P-A-I-R, eyewear.com, code Griffin. Link in all the obvious spots. Rosier is dead.
Rosier,
She
that's
was caught
exactly.
shortly after
Poppy
you.
Poppington. Yes.
Yes.
Rosier is one of the missing ones.
No more than he deserved.
Yes.
And then let's see here. Dolohov is apprehended. He was caught
in-
shortly after yourself. Indeed.
So that he could be one of the no, but he's not dead.
No, right. You're
No.
right.
Let's see who else is dead. Not like Rookwood gets back out. I don't know if we can name the other two.
Let's see here.
Definitely Rosier is one.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So then we can move on though. One too cowardly to return. That's got to be Karkaroff.
That's Karkaroff. Absolutely. He will pay. He does. He dies very early in Order of the Phoenix.
Yep.
One who I believe has lasted me forever. This is a reference to Snape, and he is he's correct, but he will go back on those words.
Yeah. So and this is something that Bellatrix is going to grill Snape over at the beginning of Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
And Snape basically explains, like, I waited, like, after I felt the dark mark burn and returned to him that very night, which we're also going to see later that he's doing on Dumbledore's orders specifically. So he later tonight, Snape will be in Voldemort's company.
Right.
So that one is still kind of like misconstrued, at least for the moment. And one who remains my most faithful servant and who has already re-entered my service. And that's Barty Crouch Jr.
That's Barty Crouch Jr. And I like to think he shot not a look after that.
my most
faithful not. Hear that?
You're
Hear
like
that?
you're like seventh man.
You're like, so you're not even close, dude.
Yeah.
So let's see. The Death Eaters stirred, and Harry saw their eyes dart sideways, like through their mask. I guess they're trying to figure out who it is.
Right.
And he says, he is at Hogwarts, that faithful servant. Even Voldemort seems like he's withholding the mystery. Like, and this maybe suggests maybe they don't know who everyone is, even though he's name dropping them all now.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. I think that would fit reasonably well. Because I mean, that's the other thing too, is that everybody believes Barty Crouch Jr. to be gone.
Yeah.
And so who this person could be is kind of a big mystery. And then even the way that it's phrased, whether it's for us, the reader's benefit and the continued mystery, but it's going to say he is at Hogwarts, that faithful servant. And it was through his efforts that our young friend arrived here tonight. So this is definitely like one of those where you're supposed to think like full blown, that's Snape.
Right.
You know, like,
or Karkaroff.
or Karkaroff.
Yeah. Because we with hindsight know exactly who we meant by the other two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. But you wouldn't on your first pass.
Yeah. Or else, you could think it's any of the people at Hogwarts. Maybe you think maybe you're selling Ludo Bagman camp or whatever.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. Harry Potter has kindly joined us for my rebirthing party. One might go so far as to call him my guest of honor.
Indeed. So then we have a little bit of silence here. The Death Eater Rider Wormtail stepped forward, and Lucius Malfoy's voice spoke out. He says, "Master, we crave to know. We beg you to tell us how you have achieved this miracle. How you have managed to return to us." And Voldemort is now he begins monologuing. He's like, "Oh, what a story it is! Allow me to spin you a yarn." Yes. It begins and ends with my young friend here. They walked lazily over to Harry.
All right, so it's three lazilies at least.
Three lazilies, yeah. He is just like having a ball over here, standing next to Harry. And so what he wants to do here is he's trying to frame himself like, look at me, big and strong, Harry tied to the gravestone, like trying to represent really in their eyes, like I am more powerful than this boy.
Yes, exactly. But then it also says the snake continued to circle.
Yeah, snake continued to circle.
So we get a little reference as to like what Nagini's up to. So that kind of hails back to my conversation from earlier. Let's see here. You know, of course, that they have called this boy my downfall. You all know that on that night I lost my powers and my body. I tried to kill him. His mother died in an attempt to save me, and unwittingly provide him a protection I admit I had not foreseen. I could not touch the boy.
Touch the boy.
So he is going with unwittingly. Basically, like he is operating under the assumption that Lily had no idea that her sacrifice would save.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true.
You think it's okay, like
Yeah.
that. I mean, I guess it sort of makes sense. Like it feels like a hard thing to lay intention behind.
Yeah.
However, it's like I think that's sort of like fate rewarding goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. It's kind of like Harry can't know he was going to come back,
Right.
Like that's part of like the whole thing there is like Harry, like you have to, like she has to mean to die.
Like fully
you know?
selflessly, basically.
Yeah, fully selflessly. Like if she did it with the intent of protection, maybe that wouldn't have worked.
Right.
You know,
right.
kind of thing.
But I still feel like he's being dismissive of what she's done.
Oh, absolutely. And I think he's even going to go back on it because right now he's saying unwittingly. And I think in a couple pages, he's going to make it sound like maybe it was more on purpose.
Okay.
So I don't even think he knows what he thinks happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's dancing around
He's
it.
dancing around it.
His mother left upon him traces of her sacrifice. This is an old magic. I should have remembered it. I am foolish to overlook it.
What a lame excuse. I should have remembered. I forgot.
I forgot
about it. My bad, y'all. My bad.
I knew.
Fortunately, I checked with the boss. He forgives me.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That is really like one of those things though, where it's sort of like it's like no. I knew that was a possibility. I forgot in that moment.
Forgot.
Yes.
I know you all really trust me with this dark magic business. But I forgot about it. What can I say?
What can I say?
It was a slippery spell. Lucius gets it.
Not doesn't.
Also, he says old magic here. I feel like this is the only time we hear old, and a lot of times that like magic like this will be referred to as ancient. Yeah, which it seems like it's like a certain classification of magic rather than just being really old.
I mean, it's very curious. I mean, and as per always, like this hails back to like our love for the era of the founders, because I feel like I think a lot of the magic that they refer to as old or ancient in the series is things that like we would almost certainly see back during those times, because all I can imagine is that like it's more of like the Wild West as far as magic is concerned, and as order sort of like exists amongst the wizarding world, it can sort of like prevent certain things like this from needing to happen. But it makes me feel like we would be perfectly safe including aspects of this kind of magic in a founder's run, a founder's story.
Yeah,
because if it's old, what's older than that? Like we don't know much older than that other than the pensive.
Right.
That's just a fun one.
Just a fun one there. If you play through Hogwarts Legacy, the idea that your character can uniquely interact with ancient magic, quote unquote, is like a big part of the plot too.
Sure. And we know that this is something that like Dumbledore also possesses abilities around. Yeah.
So there's that as well. And then he says, but no matter, I can touch him now. And he's going to physically touch him with his finger right here. But what he means is he can magically touch him as well, which he could not have done before. And the fact that he touches him with his hand is significant because it just draws contrast to when Harry laid hands on Quirrell back in the first book. This is what he's talking about. I can touch him now. Because when Harry touches Quirrell, who is effectively a Horcrux at that time, the lingering protection from Lily just burns him in his unbearable pain.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And I think it's that same unbearable pain that's going to happen when Voldemort tries to possess Harry in Order of the Phoenix.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So that's kind of interesting, because then it's like he can physically touch him and maybe even like magically touch him, but he can't like embody him. Yeah, because like that, it's just like what do they call it? Like tongue to flame or something. Like there's like a term that like Dumbledore uses to describe like how these are two things that are not meant to interact.
I see. Okay, I don't remember that one. But then the very rare admission of mistake by Voldemort, where he says, "I miscalculated, my friends. I admit it." Just like, wow, that's like the only time he ever like admits to like messing up.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, it's in a pretty big way. My curse was deflected by the woman's foolish sacrifice, and it rebounded upon myself. Pain beyond pain. I was trying to do my best Jim Dale impression there.
Yes, very solid.
I feel like he hasn't like fully nailed the Voldemort voice yet at this point in the process. My friends, nothing could have prepared me for it. I was ripped from my body. I was less than spirit, less than the meanest ghost, but still, I was alive.
Yes.
So it's like when you get into the deep lore of the Horcruxes, even this is kind of interesting, because it's like it's weird to think about how the Horcruxes work, especially when the diary behaves the way in which it behaves, which is that like the diary is much more offensive in nature. Like it has the ability to like to essentially take another human's life force or step in for their life force, maybe. Like he basically could take what keeps Ginny alive and become whole and human
through it.
Most of the Horcruxes don't act that way. It's not like you could get like a version of Voldemort under ordinary circumstances from the Horcrux. It's like when he dies and kind of becomes like this like airborne mist or soul or wisp or ghost
vapor or whatever he is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's running into like an invisible wall or a veil that should be the portal to death. And it's like, he can't pass it.
Right.
Like he is stuck in the living world.
Right.
And so it's like, I think this is where it speaks to even to like his true power, that he's able to like manipulate the mist or the vapor or whatever to do anything.
Right.
You know, like I think that something tells me that's not easy to do.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, it's hard to know because, you know, no one really does this.
Other than him.
Yeah, other than him. But also, I'm just going to circle pain beyond pain, because that I feel like is going to come back later.
Okay.
But then he makes some interesting revelations to the Death Eater, or interesting facts as far as the readers are concerned. He says, I, who have gone further than anybody along the path that leads to immortality. You know my goal, to conquer death, which, boom, there it is right there. But I feel like that is a line that like goes over the readers a lot, because you think of Voldemort's goals as being like evil and taking over the world, but like that's it right there. That's his goal. Conquer death, immortality.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's even interesting that like once we get introduced to the Deathly Hallows, because what Harry is going to do by the end of that book is master all three. He will have joined them all together. He will be master of all three at once, use them all as effectively as they can be used, and return from death in the process. And I even remember the first time I read Deathly Hallows, my interpretation of it was almost that like Harry didn't come back because of like Lily's protection, which was just me misreading the story because it specifically tells us that that's what happens. But I kept thinking like becoming master of the Deathly Hallows meant that you could like just return from death.
Right.
But Harry is going to ultimately accomplish heroically what Voldemort is attempting to do villainously.
Yes.
So the real irony is that like Harry will conquer death.
Yes. The last enemy who shall be conquered is death.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And so then he says he took all these steps, and now I was tested, and it appeared that one or more of my experiments had worked, which is like an interesting way to say it, because by more, it makes it sound like, did you have other experiments to safeguard yourself against immortality? But I think what he means is that like at least one of my Horcruxes worked, if not all of them together.
Yeah. And I suppose that's a fair question, where it's kind of like, if you only like, I suppose if this is something that could like go wrong, you know, like it sort of reminds me of like baking, like baking bread. You know, you pull it out of the oven, and the hard thing is knowing what happened inside.
Right.
You know, is it doughy? Is it complete? Did it rise properly?
Right.
Like, you know, like, and so I could imagine maybe that like even his hesitation to only have one Horcrux was like, what if it doesn't work and I don't know it doesn't work until it's
I'm
too
dead.
late?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, so you just keep making them. And then the true answer here that we're going to witness is that all of them did work.
Yeah.
So they are all fully effective.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that is, and maybe this is even information he had told his Death Eaters, is that he has experimented with immortality, but not specifically told them it's Horcruxes.
I guess so. Yeah. It seems like he thinks they know he's trying to become immortal.
Yes.
But maybe that he's not telling them how. I don't know. Like it seems like he couldn't even tell them it's Horcruxes, because then it feels like Lucius might have been able to deduce that the diary was a Horcrux.
Also true.
Yeah. In any case, he is left. He is nobody. He was the weakest creature alive, and without means to help myself, for I had no body, and every spell that might have helped me required the use of a wand. I remember only forcing myself sleeplessly, endlessly, second by second, to exist. So that sentence I feel like is very important as well, because it's just like endless suffering, basically.
Yes.
Which does not seem preferable to death, you know?
No.
He's going to be in that state for 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, that's terrible. I mean, if you're it's sleeplessly too, there's no reprieve from this at all, which means, I mean, I'm surprised he's not like more like just hasn't descended into madness,
Well, I mean, I suppose in some ways he just is mad, but
Yes.
but you're right. I mean, it reminds me of like when you're like really, really, really sick and you're just like lying in bed and the only thing you want is just to like fall asleep, because at least sleep provides some amount of like, distance from it.
Yeah.
Until you wake up
So
again.
you can wake up again.
Yeah. So he's just living, existing, residing inside of that for 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah, so that sounds absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
But we do get one other piece of interesting information, which I feel like could be a really interesting trivia question, is that there is only one power that remains to Voldemort while he is in this state, which is that it is his ability to possess the bodies of others.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting to use the phrasing of remained to me, because it means he had that power before.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Because in Order of the Phoenix, he has his body back and he possesses Harry.
Also true. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, good point.
So there is, but he says, but I dared not go where the other humans were plentiful, for I knew the auras were still abroad and searching for me. That's interesting because, like, what do you think they could do to you? You already know you can't die.
True. True.
Like
Yes.
even if they catch you,
Right. Oh, what are they going to do?
what are they gonna do?
Yeah. And then he goes on to explain that he sometimes inhabited animals, snakes, of course, being his preference, but he was a little better off inside of them than as pure spirit, for their bodies were ill adapted to perform magic.
Well, then he describes himself as pure spirit.
Right.
So
right.
we always call him like a vapor or a mist or something, but I guess pure spirit is how he describes it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think visually, and I don't know if it's because of like the Sorcerer's Stone film, where like after Quirrell has been like defeated, there's like the thing that like shoots through Harry.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I picture.
That's what I picture too.
like a very Diet like Obscurus or something.
Yeah,
like,
just like sort of a dark cloud of an existence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says, then 4 years ago, the means for my return seemed assured. A wizard, young, foolish, and gullible, wandered across my path in the forest, and then I made my home. Or in the forest, I had made my home. This is Quirrell he's talking about here.
Yes. And what we know about Quirrell is that basically he was trying to go off into the world and pretty much prove himself, like almost a character similar to like what Lockhart goes on to boast. Like he's out looking for adventure. He's out looking for a way to like demonstrate his abilities and all the rest.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that's like his...
He's trying to do that. I mean, he specifically goes to the forest in Albania to try and like finish off Voldemort.
Right.
Yeah.
A foolish task.
A foolish task. He does not succeed at all. Instead, he is swayed by Voldemort and then fails to steal the stone, at which point Voldemort takes possession of his body, effectively making Quirrell a Horcrux in a sense. Yeah.
Yep. I think he's safe enough to say. And so he's basically like running the show at that point in time, but his plan fails and he did not manage to steal the Sorcerer's Stone. He was not to be assured immortal life. I was thwarted again by Harry Potter.
That must have hurt.
It's like,
can you imagine? Like,
the same kid?
like, are you kidding? It's the same kid. That's him.
Yeah.
The baby. He's back.
Right. I love how he doesn't even call him Quirrell though. He just keeps referring to him as like the teacher of the serpent. Like we never get Quirrell's name.
Yeah, he doesn't
again.
say it's Quirrell. You just have to like know that's who he meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then we are, in case, I think this is a nice little clearing up. It says, the servant died when I left his body. So like, in case you were wondering, did Harry kill Quirrell? No, Voldemort killed Quirrell.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think this was one that some people brought up after we were talking about Harry seeing the Thestrals after Cedric's death, because they're sort of like, guys, like, Quirrell died in year one, but Harry is like out.
He passes out before it happens. Yeah.
Right. Because does Dumbledore arrive and like pull Quirrell off of him? I'm trying to remember exactly what that phrasing
that's what
is
happens.
like. Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like basically at that point in time, Voldemort was just keeping Quirrell going, or the process of exiting. I mean, the same thing. It just says like, my possession of them shortened their lives. None of them lasted long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens to Quirrell eventually too. That's why Quirrell is drinking the unicorn blood. It's not for Voldemort to keep Voldemort alive. It's to keep Quirrell alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Who then goes on to live a pretty darn cursed life.
He sure does. He dies very soon after.
Yes.
And he says, yes, that was perhaps my darkest hour. That's funny to me. And I have a feeling it's specifically because it was Harry again. He's like, I mean, if it was Dumbledore, that'd have been one thing, but Harry Potter a second time, like, no.
He didn't even cast a spell for that whole book.
He didn't even cast a spell. Like, this cannot be the case.
Right.
There's no way it's him.
Yep. So he returns once again to the forest of Albania, a place that we still don't know, like the real reason why it's important or which Albania we're even referring
Well,
to.
I know which Albania. This is like, you don't want to get too deep in the weeds in the history here, but like the reason it's important to Voldemort is because it is where Helena Ravenclaw hid the lost item of Ravenclaw initially.
Yes.
So Voldemort or Tom Riddle visits the forest, finds it, and then rehides it at Hogwarts. And then he goes and hides himself where he found it, effectively. So we know that. Why it was important to Helena Ravenclaw, we don't really know.
Right.
But here's the thing. 1,000 years ago, when Helena Ravenclaw was alive, there was no country of Albania. Instead, what was known as Albania then is actually what is now known as Scotland. And so you're like, did she go to did you like, and then it makes sense too, if you're Helena Ravenclaw, that you were hiding it in Scotland because that's where Hogwarts is assumed to be. So then you're in a forest much closer to where you are.
Right. But it's so strange because it always seems like this far away place. But
It does seem like a really far away place.
Right. Like, I mean, like the distance from Hogwarts to what would be referred to as Albania would be less distance than the distance from King's Cross Station to Hogwarts.
Right.
You know, like that's across the whole country.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, you gotta get just the water,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're really far away from the modern day country of Albania, especially if you're just mist form,
Exactly.
forcing yourself to exist second by second.
Right.
But whatever.
But yeah, so basically,
Hard to know.
Voldemort has given up hope now that any of his Death Eaters cared of what had become of him. And then finally it says, not even a year ago, when I had almost abandoned hope, it happened at last. The servant returned me. Wormtail here, who had faked his own death to escape justice, was driven out of hiding by those he once counted friends and decided to return to his master.
I love the way he phrases this. Like, it makes it sound like the Marauders betrayed Peter rather than that Peter betrayed them.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Driven
exactly.
out by people he used to. He had friends, and look what they did. This is why you don't have friends. And it's like, no, they had a friend. They had a friend.
He was the jerk.
He was the jerk.
Yeah.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't yell at him for being traitorous and then also accuse the Marauders of not being good friends.
Exactly. Yeah. He's having both.
He's having both.
He's like, I will not give Wormtail any credit if I can help it.
None.
Which, to be fair, is kind of our position too. So
Look,
in this way, we agree.
And then this is what I talked about earlier. It said, he sought me in the country where it had long been rumored I was hiding. So if we go back a few pages, let's see. Lucius Malfoy said, had there be any sign from you, any whisper of your whereabouts. So I like to think he's staring directly at Lucius when he says this.
He sought me in the country where long been rumored I was hiding. Lucius. We do get the indication that he was helped along by rats that he met along the way. Wormtail has a curious affinity with rats. Do you not, Wormtail? It's kind of interesting because probably most of the Death Eaters don't know about his ability to become
an animagus.
Yes, exactly.
And he won't again. We won't see him in rat form again.
No, yeah, not for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But yeah, he says his filthy little friends told him there was a place deep in the Albanian forest that they had avoided, where small animals like themselves met their deaths by a dark shadow that possessed them. So
they told him like they can speak English? Or?
Yeah, so he speaks rat?
He talks to rats?
Right.
I guess. I don't know. I guess that's what it means. They have some kind of communication amongst themselves.
Right.
Yep. But then okay, so this part of the story I had to like reread a couple times to make sure I was getting it right. He says, but his journey back to me was not smooth, was it, Wormtail? For hungry one night on the edge of the very forest where he had hoped to find me, which makes it sound like he hasn't found him yet, right?
Right. Yep.
Right. He foolishly stopped at an inn for some food. Okay. All right. And who should he meet there but one Bertha Jorkins, a witch from the Ministry of Magic? Right. Cool. Got it. So Wormtail has not found Voldemort yet, stops in an inn outside the forest, meets Bertha, okay, and says, now see the way that fate favors Lord Voldemort. To which I'm like, dude, are you hearing your own story? You were thwarted by the same kid twice already.
Right.
Is fate favoring you with 13 years of vapor existence in the woods?
Second by second, sleeplessly.
I know. Like, yeah. So, sure, maybe just this once, fate has favored you. But says, this might have been the end of Wormtail and on my last hope for regeneration, but Wormtail displaying a presence of mind I would never have expected from him, convinced Bertha Jorkins to accompany him on a nighttime stroll. He overpowered her, he brought her to me. So Wormtail hasn't found him yet, but runs into Bertha Jorkins, overpowers her, and then brings her to Voldemort.
Yes, yeah. It's like, well, I mean, it's such a crazy thing too, because it means that like Wormtail's on this mission to go and find, the Dark Lord. There's a prophecy that says on that very evening that he will return to his master.
You mean, you're right. It's like before midnight, right?
I mean, that's what it says.
No, before midnight, he'll set out.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
okay.
yeah.
So that first,
Like on that very night, he's just like, I'm hungry.
He's like, man, I spent a couple hours in the Shrieking Shack. Serious, would not stop talking.
Oh my gosh.
I am famished.
I am famished. I have run all the way to Albania, apparently, tonight.
Apparently, yeah. But it also means that like Wormtail is in there on this like very important mission that has like ramifications that will send ripples through all of wizard kind. It will impact the non-magical population. And he starts hitting on Bertha Jorkins.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have Voldemort yet.
He's not even there yet.
He doesn't know what use she will be. If anything, she could discover that he was still alive, and that would be a problem.
That's probably what he's doing. He's probably covering his own tracks here more than anything.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's like, nah, I gotta keep this lady with me.
Bertha, you're one of us now.
Like, I really gotta find Voldemort. Yeah.
Right. And the fact that it ends up being Bertha Jorkins, that's probably where more than anything fate favors Lord Voldemort.
Yeah.
Because it's like she is a very specifically, uniquely important person in terms of the information that she has as it pertains to the Triwizard Tournament, as it pertains to Barty Crouch Jr., the current status of the wizarding world.
Yep.
Bertha Jorkins, who may have ruined all, proved instead to be a gift beyond my wildest dreams.
Yep. And this is where we also learned, she told me many things, but the means I used to break the memory charm upon her were powerful. This is where you learn that she had a memory charm upon her at all.
Yes. Yeah. And that means
was put there by Barty Crouch Sr.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because she saw that Barty Crouch Jr. was alive. But so apparently he tortures her so bad to get this information that her body and mind are both damaged beyond repair, which is horrifying when you think that her body must have been damaged beyond repair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Says, I could not possess her. I disposed of her, which I could not possess her. Perhaps foolish to have gone that far then, if this was an obvious out for you.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we get like a little bit of an explanation that also was kind of like a question that I don't feel like I've ever asked, but it's interesting that it's covered as well. But it says Wormtail's body, of course, was ill adapted for possession as all assumed him dead and would attract far too much attention if noticed. And so that I think that answers the question of like, well, why didn't Voldemort just take over Wormtail the same way that he took over Quirrell?
Right, and that's basically the reason.
That's the reason. Yeah, but that's not actually a hitch I've ever been stuck on. I've always been like, that plan didn't work. Let's choose a new plan.
Yeah, but like even that explanation is only paper thin because like Polyjuice Potion exists, right? You've been using it all year.
Also true.
Right?
Also true.
So there's that.
But he was the able-bodied servant that he needed. And poor wizard though he is, Wormtail was able to follow the instructions I gave him.
Poor wizard though he is, even though he just brought you back to life, bro, and is an animagus. Is he the poor wizard?
Wormtail catching all sorts of strays.
Here's what Wormtail did. He successfully acted as a mole inside of the Order of the Phoenix under Dumbledore, fed information to Voldemort, told him, became the secret keeper for the Potters, became an animagus, got hunted down by Sirius, won that fight.
Yeah.
Won that fight, killed 13 other people in the process, and put one of Dumbledore's greatest allies in prison.
Yep. For 12 years.
Yeah, for 12 years. Then hid in an enemy family's house for 12 years.
Gaining information.
Yeah, gaining information. Got your wand back, brought it to you, nursed you back to health, gave you his hand. Like I hate Peter with such a fiery passion, but I don't think he's a bad wizard.
No. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's just sort of like, it's like you clearly just don't like him, man.
Yeah, he's just being so mean.
He doesn't want to sit at the same lunch table.
Jeez, I know.
Yep.
Anyway, Voldemort then explains how he got back to a rudimentary body with a spell or two of my own invention, a little help from my dear Nagini, a potion concocted from unicorn blood and her snake venom. So this, for a long time, I was confusing this potion that he makes with the potion that brings him fully back to life. This is just to get him back to the rudimentary body that he's sort of been in all year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we never really get like a very clear indication as to why the snake venom from Nagini would be useful. in this
Yeah.
particular potion, because we also don't know what breed of snake Nagini is.
I mean, she's just like a maledictus, I guess, right?
Right. So she's just kind of like her own snake. We know that she's got such a venomous bite that it's like very difficult to heal the wounds, that Arthur Weasley will eventually endure from it.
And that she's, I guess, inflicted with like a blood curse, which is the malediction.
Right.
So there's
right.
I mean, I suppose then if she's the maledictus, like that human to animal, that human to snake form shifting could be somewhere in her blood, and like that could mix with the unicorn blood, like give life to that. I don't know. Especially it says then he just says it like very vaguely a spell or two of my own invention. So who knows what those are doing?
True. Yeah, I'm curious now as well, because like it's always been one of the big things I really want to know from the Fantastic Beasts series is why Nagini, who doesn't seem like negatively aligned, like she seems more on the side of like Dumbledore as of the 1920s. Like what ultimately happens that makes her go on to be such a like an ally for Voldemort? Like when does she like shift the tide there, so to speak? And part of me almost wonders if like her like any amount of humanity that was like left in her was like stolen from her through this process, and because she also could have just been like a ward of the Albanian forest. Like
that's true.
Like this is just a place where she was like, well, I don't belong in society anymore, so I went here, and then because I was like kind of like an unusual snake, it's not like I'm just like your garden variety forest snake. Like this is like a huge snake.
Yeah, I mean, this is where he meets Nagini too, is in the Albanian forest. So
exactly.
That tracks to me. And it's like, well, to that end, though, I suppose the only other significant thing we know about the Albanian forest is the connection to Ravenclaw.
Right.
So then it makes you wonder if Nagini knew something about Ravenclaw. You know, or there was a connection. She spoke to the Grey Lady or something and went to that forest for some reason.
Oh,
What drew her there? Or did what drew Helena there also draw Nagini there or something?
I know. It feels like we need more information on this forest.
Yeah, this forest seems like a magically important place.
Yes, it does.
For some reason or another.
Anyway, but yeah, there was no hope of stealing Sorcerer's Stone anymore, for I knew that Dumbledore would have had seen to it that it was destroyed. So at least he has a pretty good measure of how Dumbledore would act, because that is exactly what...
So we know that Dumbledore has a good measure of him, but he also seems to have a good measure of Dumbledore.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And so he sets his sights lower. I would settle for my old body back again and my old strength.
Well, this is an interesting phrasing too. He says, but I was willing to embrace mortal life again before chasing immortality. And it's like, but what do you mean? I would settle for my old body back and my old strength, which is what you have now, but that you're already immortal, right? Like you're not.
Yeah. I know it's a fair question. Like it almost seems to me like he still wanted like the Sorcerer's Stone in some capacity. Like, but the Sorcerer's Stone seems as limited to me as Horcruxes are, if not more limited, because you can hide Horcruxes, but you must continue to drink the elixir.
Yeah. That does seem like a weird back. It's not like you drink the elixir and then you're immortal. You must continue drinking it.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
yeah. Because that's what Dumbledore says. He's like, they have enough set aside to
get their affairs in order.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, he says, I knew to achieve this. It is an old piece of dark magic. The potion that revived me tonight. I would need 3 powerful ingredients. Well, one of them is already at hand.
It's an unnecessary T in that sentence. A hand.
Yeah. It was already a hand. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, flesh given by the servant. Anyway, I love the pun. I love that he's just trolling him so bad. My father's bow naturally meant we would have to come here where he was buried, but the blood of a foe, Wormtail, would have had me use any wizard, would you not? Any wizard who has hated me, as so many still do. But I knew the one I must do if I was to rise again, more powerful than I had been when I had fallen. Okay, so if you'll recall, one paragraph ago, he said, but I was willing to embrace mortal life again before chasing immortality. I set my sights lower. I would settle for my old body back and my old strength. End of this. More powerful than I had been when I fallen. So just contradicting himself immediately. I'll settle for my old body. If by old body, I mean way better than my old body.
Not sliding over to Avery being like, you catching all this?
You catching all like he just said, right? You follow? I'm not following.
I'm not following.
I'm not following. Yeah.
Avery's
He's been awake
this
for
is why you're 7th.
Yeah. Not making a lot of sense here, Voldemort.
No.
Anyway. And I wanted the blood of the one who had stripped me of power 13 years ago, for the lingering protection and that his mother once gave him would then reside in my veins too. Boom, there it is. He knows it. He thinks it's a solution, and this is the ultimate problem.
Yeah,
this is his downfall. He's done it.
Yes, I mean, literally, I think we made an entire video once upon a time that was talking about the single most important line in the entire Harry Potter series, and it is when Harry explains this to Dumbledore, and you see a fleeting gleam of triumph in Dumbledore's eyes, and that gleam of triumph is because he has heard that piece of information.
This sentence, for the lingering protection his mother once gave him would then reside in my veins too. Boom. Yes, that's exactly what happens. The protection now continues to live in Voldemort. He's so dumb.
If only you knew. If only you knew.
If only you knew. And the thing is, he did. He does. He's like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll bring the protection inside me. Ha ha. He thinks he's getting around it, but he's making an impossible box.
Yes, he is.
It's just a minnow trap, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But then we get further explanation because like some of the other problems are sort of like, well, why not like attack Harry while he's just like at the Dursleys? And then like, why would Dumbledore send Harry to the Dursleys in the first place when the Dursleys are so terrible? And this is when we at long last get the explanation that Dumbledore invoked an ancient magic to ensure the boy's protection as long as he is in his relation's care. Not even I can touch him there. So basically, like, Harry is unequivocally safe when he's at the Dursleys.
He's describing the bond of blood charm.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And then there's the Quidditch World Cup. He thought his protection might be weaker there. However, he was still not strong enough. And then there's just Ministry wizards everywhere. So how could he take him?
Yes. Where he's under the crooked nose of that muggle-loving fool from morning until night. Again, showing his obsession with Dumbledore here. It's like, surely Dumbledore's not a problem for you, though, right? You're the most powerful wizard. What's the problem?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
I don't understand.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Is he bringing up Dumbledore again?
Yeah. You're thinking what I'm hearing is Dumbledore's stronger than you, and you know it.
Right. The only one he ever feared.
The only one he ever feared, indeed.
We know that to be a thing.
That is true. Yep. So let's see. Why? By using Bertha Jorkins' information, of course. Use my one faithful Death Eater stationed at Hogwarts. That's misleading right there. That really makes you think it's Snape.
It does, because it's like stationed. It's like stationed sort of leads you to believe, especially when we're coming off the heels of like the Quidditch World Cup, like Mad-Eye Moody, as we believe him to be, would not have officially like started this position yet.
Wouldn't have been stationed there yet.
So not stationed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there are other things that still need to happen. So we're kind of getting the Cliff Notes version, but we'll get the full version from Barty in the next chapter. No, 2 chapters.
2 chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you learn that he'll use his Death Eater to ensure that Harry wins the tournament, that he touched the Triwizard Cup first, the cup which by Death Eater turned into a port key. So that makes it sound like it turning into a port key wasn't a plan for the tournament, although I still feel like it must have been.
I know. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like it's just a little bit like it's not like we know for a fact, like we've scoured the story for the answer to this particular question. Like, why does the port key work twice? Like, nothing about the way the port key works as it pertains to the Triwizard Cup really fits in with how we know them to work under every other situation.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's just like more port key math going on there, or maybe like the idea of like setting a time associated with like when it works is like something you can manipulate about port keys, but you don't necessarily have to. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just like for transporting large groups of people or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. In any case, then he's finally moves to face Harry, and he raises his wand and casts the Cruciatus Curse on him, which is proof of what he said earlier, that he can like magically attack him as well.
Yes.
He can do damage to him. Later, when he puts the Cruciatus Curse on Harry in the woods after Harry comes back, it won't affect him at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that is because Harry at that point in time has basically sacrificed himself for himself.
He has sacrificed himself for anyone Voldemort would attack.
Right.
Yeah, which is why like Voldemort's spells stopped working on the people at Hogwarts.
Right.
But then let's read this sentence. It was pain beyond anything Harry had ever experienced. His very bones were on fire. His head was surely splitting along his scar. His eyes were rolling madly in his head. He wanted it to end, to black out, to die. Okay, so I think this is such an important sentence right here. Okay, because this is like Harry. Okay, so I'm going to just read what I wrote down. So the contrast to how Harry and Voldemort respond is made immediate because Harry wants to die immediately. He understands that death is preferable to the endless pain that Voldemort endured.
Right.
Right? Like Voldemort, he's been through there is pain beyond pain, suffering second by second, forcing himself to exist. Harry understands that living in pain like that, in constant suffering, is worse than dying.
Right. Which is I think the relationship with death is like a huge like important facet of this entire story. Like it's really like what everything kind of ultimately comes down to. And then you see this exact same fate play out in the forest again. Ultimately what ends up happening is Harry goes in, he's accepting death. He is just willing to do it. Like he knows he must die in order to save everybody, and he's just going to do it. But then in the meantime, Voldemort has like marred his soul so badly that he will never escape limbo. So that same description that we heard before, where he's just like living second by second, like that is effectively what his fate is in perpetuity.
That's how he'll spend eternity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, cause now he can't die.
Yeah.
Like death would be like
death would be preferable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead he fights it forever and ever and ever.
Yep. He'll just end up in endless suffering.
Right.
Either dead or alive. Yep.
Right. Yep. But either way, so then the spell is broken and it says, and then it was gone. He was hanging limply in the ropes binding him to the headstone of Voldemort's father, looking up into those bright red eyes through a kind of mist. The night was ringing with the sound of the Death Eater's laughter.
Yep. You see, I think how foolish it was to suppose that this boy could ever have been stronger than me, which is just words he's going to eat so fast.
Yep. But I want there to be no mistake in anybody's mind. Harry Potter escaped me by a lucky chance, and now I'm going to prove my power by killing him here and now in front of you all, and where there is no Dumbledore to help him. Because Dumbledore's here. Well, let's be honest, I'd be screwed.
I'd be screwed. Yeah, right.
And no mother to die for him. I will give him his chance. He will be allowed to fight, and you will be left in no doubt of which of us is stronger. So that's where we finally get to that key point where it's like this is why he is going to rearm him, because he thinks he's just playing with his food at this point. Like he is not concerned at all. He is like fully back. He can now perform magic. Like that was the problem before. That doesn't exist anymore. Now it's on.
I mean, the other thing too is that like he just continues, like we've been pointing it out the whole chapter, where he's just contradicting himself constantly in his own monologue. And like he even says it right here, and no mother to die for him, as if he didn't just say the lingering protection his mother once gave him resides in my veins.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's like you just said it, dude.
Right.
Like you just said it.
It's still there.
It's still there. It's still there. And had he been able to hit Harry, if not for the twin chorus here, if he just hit him with it, it would have come into play immediately. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But and then finally, here's the piece that I wanted to circle back to with my thing about Nagini, because then it says, left in no doubt which of us is stronger. Just a little longer, Nagini, he whispered, and the snake glided away through the grass to where the Death Eater stood watching.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes, that was, I think, what kind of like rounded off my sentiment about like what Nagini's role in this evening was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like on numerous occasions, we've been like kind of given information about what Nagini's doing. I mean, I suppose it could just be as simple as Harry dies, then Nagini gets to eat him.
Well, I mean, that's what he said in the dream chapter, right? Where he wasn't going to feed Wormtail to the snake, but he's going to feed Harry to the snake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So,
so all that I guess kind of comes down to whether or not you think there's a world where Nagini could have been vital to how the plan was supposed to go.
Right.
The rest of the night.
Right.
You know, assuming there was supposed to be some type of transformative situation going on, especially what we know Nagini can do with Bethilda Bagshot. So
Right.
that was sort of what I was coming down to.
Yeah.
But then we end the chapter with the line, "Now untie him, Wormtail, and give him back his wand."
What a terrible mistake. What a stupid mistake.
Give him your wand.
Give him your wand. You know what? Here's the thing. Just kill him. Just stab him. Just really, just let Nagini do it right now.
Right now.
You
right
can
now.
do. I'm not actually sure that would work because that still has a bit of Voldemort soul in him. So that might not have worked. But
That's true. That's true.
the protection might work against Nagini.
Right. So anyway, though, I'm very excited for chapter number next. Is going to be chapter 34, Priori Incantatum. But before we close out today's episode, Jay, do you have a review for us?
Well, I sure do, Ben Jam. Let me see if I can pull it up here for us. This review comes from Ari Fike. This was less of a question, more of just like a fun update on what we've been talking about. It sounds like Ari is British, and she says is pronounced differently in England. Hey brothers, love the book and look forward to your podcast every week. I'm certain how many insights and theories y'all are able to find going through it in this way. There's something, though, that I've been wanting to point out that I figured out myself a few years back since I'm American. I'm pretty sure it's written as because R is pronounced like at the end of sentences in England. So it's really him just saying the normal stammer filler word, especially when you think about the Sphinx's riddle, the spider or spida, which is how you would say it in like British. Like,
sure.
It's a spider. A spider.
The spider.
A spider.
Okay.
Yeah. With a British accent. Don't know if this was obvious to everyone else that I'm sitting here thinking I cracked the case. Anyway, love you guys.
That's amazing.
I think you're probably right. That's definitely what it is. That if you say like, if you're reading it in a British accent, it'd be like, instead of But of course, I think it's just really funny for us over here. Every time Harry's like,
Right. Yes. Well, and I thought it was very funny too, because it ends up being like a kind of goofy part of the riddle, that it's like the sound you make when looking for a hard to find word or something like that, I think is the phrasing. And it's I think it's funny because it's sort of like he nails it, but he's also been using it the whole book. And I'll be very curious as we go into like Order of the Phoenix if we find that he continues to do this.
Yeah, or
like,
if this was like set up specifically for the Sphinx riddle.
Exactly. Yeah. So the real curiosity, because we didn't really come to realization on this like verbal crutch until we were inside of Goblet of Fire. So we haven't had a situation outside of Goblet of Fire where we've been like hunting for it. And the hilarious, we almost need somebody to like remind us once we get like 10 chapters into Order of the Phoenix, because if it doesn't happen, we won't notice it.
Right.
But if it does, we'll of course be like, okay, like see.
We'll keep pointing out the ers.
Yeah. Now it's like a running gag.
Yep.
Yeah. The count.
The count.
I love it. I love it. Well, y'all, thank you so much as always for tuning into this week's episode.
Yeah, thank you guys for your for continuing to listen to the podcast, and we hope you'll join us next week for chapter 34, Priori Incantatum, here on Through the Griffin Door.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edghill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.